Well, guys, I want to be respectful of time. I know there's a busy schedule, but I'd like to, we always do kind of the parting thoughts on the podcast. I'd like to, maybe what advice or parting thoughts would you give? Let's kind of go around the room on to different constituents. So what would you tell a service provider, and what would you tell a community about what they really, based on what we've just talked about being transparent and humility? What tangible advice would you say, kind of your parting thought from each of your perspective? We'll do the service providers first, and then we'll go back around for the communities. Let's start with you.
Are we sure we don't want to start with John? I feel like I keep going first.
All right.
I could. I mean, I think for the service providers, it's. I think it's some of what Scott said, right? It's looking at like how can I be a part of the solution here, and not just like how can I make the most money, right? I think the service providers have a great opportunity to make money out of this, but not necessarily like a get-rich-quick scheme, right? But it's how can I be a part of building my own community up, because you remember that community, right? So it's I think doing some of that reach out, being available, being transparent, maybe doing some education for people, I think is an opportunity. Service providers have a lot of knowledge that the people in the community just don't have about some of the realities of building a network, operating a network, signing people up. Like there's a lot more to it, and they can be a part of that education process to help build a true partnership instead of just a relationship where they're gathering money.
Yeah, clearly, I think people don't. I think we could all agree that the complexity of doing this is not understood.
Right. Yeah. No, I would follow up on that, build on that. I would challenge them to think beyond traditional ROI models.
Okay.
Right. Think about investing in the community to build future customers and future opportunities, to grow your business. That's kind of odd, right?
Lead a little bit with the heart instead of the
I want to
wallet.
come off like, but again, if we look at the targeted, communities, the unserved and the underserved, right? These are unpacked potential in terms of customer bases, in terms of opportunities to grow different sectors and technology. So if we get that information, if we get the infrastructure in there, if we have the right digital equity focus, right? These are the next boom areas for growth potential.
And they're going to probably use more applications of technology than we ever have.
Right, because they got a lot of catching up to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Partly, if we're honest, right?
Yeah.
But then also we have to really think about, that ROI model a little differently. Maybe a longer, life cycle, for projects to realize, those return on investments. And then just be good stewards in the community, because our work has shown us people want great broadband. They want companies in their communities to be successful.
Yeah.
So this is not like we want you to come in and build something, and then we don't want you to reap the benefits of it. It's not that. They just don't want to be taken advantage of, or cherry picked, or just flat out left alone because it doesn't make economic sense, or the community's not the right color, or what have you, right?
Yeah.
So if we approach it that way, I think, and there's things that, we'll talk about this as well. There are things that the community has to do, the state and local governments will have to do as well. But from the service provider standpoint, just look at your business arrangement a little differently, because there's enough money out here to, as the government is subsidizing the capital build of these projects, you can be a little bit more flexible in your business model approach.
Again, when it starts with a B.
When it starts with a B, that changes the
So exciting.
All right, what would your advice be?
I would maybe kind of tie in with what Justin was saying about education. Personally reflecting upon when I first started doing this work, I remember setting up a call with a few different people, one of them Bonfire, and saying, I don't know what any of these terms mean. Please explain it to me, right? And I came in with questions from Wikipedia about technology from like 1996 that I thought were relevant, right? I think there's a lot of people like me when I first started. And I think it is upon service providers to make sure that the community that they're trying to serve is knowledgeable about what they're trying to do. And especially if it is a community that doesn't have access, right? They can't Google these things like I often do.
That's a paradox. Yeah.
And so I think education will be a big factor and something that certainly should be coming from that source as you work through things.
Good advice.